Well, wouldn't you know, it's that time again to talk about the winners and losers of the NBA draft. This is essentially a tradition on this channel. Every single year we come and talk about the winners and losers, which teams made mistakes and which teams made great decisions. People are going to have a mix of opinions in the comments section, so you might as well let me have it down below. People get on me all the time about my picks for winners and losers of the draft, even though I don't think people give me enough credit for certain things that I predict right, but you know, it's all fair game on YouTube. Let me know your opinions down below. Also drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Let's aim for at least 1,000 likes because I know there's going to be a huge wave of dislikes, especially from certain fan bases. But without further ado, let's start off with the first winners of the NBA draft, and that is the Philadelphia 76ers. Before the draft even started, the Sixers took a huge W just from trading Al Horford alone to offload that $69 million left in his deal. Man, that was a blessing for the Philadelphia 76ers. Daryl Morey is already making smart decisions, and sure, a lot of people are going to bash them for getting Danny Green, especially considering how suspect he was when it came to his shooting last year in the postseason. But I don't think people understand that Danny Green still served a purpose last year. Defensively, he played really well for the Lakers last postseason, and even though his shot is very streaky, you can't leave him open, so he definitely does provide some level of spacing for whatever team that he's on. And considering that he's going to the Philadelphia 76ers, who desperately need the spacing when they have two post players such as Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, and one of them in Ben Simmons just doesn't take shots whatsoever outside of the restricted area, so a guy that the defense can't sag off and leave open is definitely a plus for this team. But the W's didn't just stop there, as they later went on to select Tyrese Maxey with the 21st overall pick, who isn't a great floor spacer but did average 14 points per game as a freshman in Kentucky. But I think the upside for him is on the defensive side of the ball, because later on in the night the Sixers took another W by trading Josh Richardson along with the 36th overall pick to the Dallas Mavericks in exchange for Seth Curry, which gives them another floor spacer, one of the best shooters in the league. And because they are losing some of their defense on the perimeter with Josh Richardson, as much as Seth Curry helps them offensively, especially how he complements Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, defensively he's not good whatsoever. So to get a guy like Tyrese Maxey, who has a lot of promise on the defensive side of the ball, who I think can contribute on the defensive side of the ball immediately, is a huge plus for this organization moving forward. Moving on to our next winners, we have the San Antonio Spurs, who selected Devin Vassell at the 11th overall pick. For those who do not know, Vassell is a combo wing that could play the 2 or the 3, stands at 6'7", coming out of Florida State, only played 2 years in college, and he shot 42% from 3 this past season at Florida State. He also has a 6'10" wingspan that he uses to his advantage very well on the defensive side of the ball, as he's one of the best defenders in this draft class. I think no matter what team picked him up, he would have had an immediate impact on that roster, and San Antonio is a perfect fit for him, as their defense is their biggest issue, especially having DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge staying another year, and I assume they're even going to get worse on the defensive side of the ball. So to get somebody like him, who I think can be an elite team defender almost as soon as immediately out of the gate, and I just think that in the modern NBA, having a 3-and-D player on your roster is extremely valuable. So I think that his floor is like a Robert Covington kind of guy, but I also think that his ceiling is like a Chris Middleton. And I'm not saying he's going to reach that ceiling, but I think that his floor is something that a lot of teams could definitely use on their roster. And knowing just how great the Spurs development staff is for young players, I definitely think they're going to maximize his potential. But moving on to our final winners of this draft, we have the Sacramento Kings selecting Tyrese Halliburton. And to be honest, I didn't watch too much of Tyrese during his time at Iowa State, but I will admit I did watch a little bit of film on him before the draft and obviously to prepare for this video, and I gotta be real, I was shocked to see that he fell so low. He stands at 6'5" with a 6'8" wingspan, so he does have the capabilities, at least physically, to guard the 1 or the 2, as well as playing both of those positions as well. He's a good 3-point shooter, as he shot 42% in college on nearly 6 attempts a game in his sophomore season, and he's also a good playmaker. And considering that Buddy Hield will more than likely be traded due to the recent rumors and reports that he wants out of Sacramento. I think picking up a guy like Tyrese, who I think can contribute immediately at a starter's level, will be a huge plus for the Sacramento Kings. I expect him to be a Rookie of the Year candidate, and I think that his calling cards as a playmaker and three-point shooter with deep range, I might add, despite his weird form, will complement De'Aaron Fox perfectly. But that's enough of the winners. Let's use Tyrese to transition into the first team that I thought should have drafted him, and that is the Phoenix Suns. I'm giving the Suns an L for now because even though I don't think Jalen Smith is a bad player, he definitely fulfills a need with his ability to stretch the floor in the front court. But considering that most draft boards had him going around 10 to 15 spots later than when he was originally drafted, this is eerily similar to last year when they selected Cameron Johnson as high as they did, when they could have just traded down, got more assets, and picked him later in the draft. Or hell, even in this scenario, I wouldn't have been opposed to them getting Tyrese, because as good as I think Chris Paul and Devin Booker will be next year, let's just call a spade, that backcourt is already on the clock. Chris Paul has suffered major injuries throughout his career, consistently at the worst possible times, and combine that with the fact that he's getting up there in age, I think getting Tyrese to play under both CP3 and Devin Booker, especially because they don't really have great guard depth, I think that would have been a solid pickup. But regardless, they got somebody that they could have just traded down to get in the first place. Hell, even got more assets, and I think that's an L regardless of the fact that he could still be a productive player that does serve some value for them. But moving on to the next L that I have to hand out, unfortunately, it is to the Golden State Warriors, because with news breaking yesterday that Klay Thompson suffered an apparent Achilles injury of some kind, yeah, it does not look good for the Warriors moving forward. And considering that they did get James Wiseman, that is a plus, especially considering that he's another young player that they can add on to the future and build forward to continue the dynasty. But yeah, the dynasty looks like it might be over with Klay Thompson's injury, or at least it looks like it might be officially over, because some people thought it was over anyways. And honestly, I don't know what the Warriors are going to do, because despite them getting James, who I think is solid for them, I just don't know what the future holds for this team, because Klay going out is a huge wrench into all their plans. It completely changes their dynamic. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because I did address it in my last video. If you haven't seen it, make sure you go and check it out. Card should be on the screen right about now. But yeah, I got to give the Warriors an L, because we don't even know if their draft plans change due to Klay Thompson's injury. And honestly, moving forward, the future is very uncertain for this organization. But moving on to the next and final L that I have to hand out, you know who I got to give it to. It is my squad, the Chicago Bulls. Let me say this for starters. It is very obvious that we need a wing. It's very, very obvious. And I'm not going to knock on Patrick Williams, because I got to be real. The guy wasn't even on my fucking radar. So I got to actually check him out, see what he can do. And from what I've seen, he's a solid, flexible defender with nice length. Pause. But to be fair, why did we not get Denny? Like, honestly, what is the reasoning for not getting Denny? Is it his shooting? Because we have the spacing. We got Laurie, we got Zach LaVine, Kobe White. The only guy that can't shoot in our lineup is Wendell Carter, who still has potential to become at least an average three-point shooter in my opinion, because for those who watched him in college, he showed some signs of a jump shot. So I don't know what the argument is against getting Denny. And considering that some draft boards didn't even have him as a lottery pick, and if not, they had him around the 10 to 15 range, why did we not just trade down? Like, honestly, I can't just bash the Suns for getting somebody way too early and then excuse the Bulls because they were just so high on a player. That would just be bias. And at this point, I'm really tired, honestly. I'm very annoyed at this organization. They've been serving us mediocrity for almost a decade now, because don't forget, Derrick Rose tore his ACL in 2012. We're about to head into our 9th season since the Derrick Rose era officially ended with that injury. So I'm just really sick and annoyed and tired, because I don't know what to do as a Bulls fan. I honestly don't know what to do. They better hope Patrick Williams turns into at least an all-star, and they better pray that Denny is not going to be some future superstar. They really better pray that he ends up becoming Mario Hezonja, Like, people are definitely going to remember this for sure. But that concludes my winners and losers. And before I wrap up this video, I'm gonna give you guys my top 3 steals of the draft. The first steal that I have is Tyrese Halliburton. I think, like I said earlier, the Kings took a massive W getting him a nice combo guard. The next one is Precious Achiuwa. I think he's going to be a really solid player for them. For those who do not know, I'm Nigerian, so I'm really hyped for all the Nigerians that got drafted. Shout out to Onyeka as well. And also shout out to all the others. I believe we had 8 Nigerians drafted. Huge dubs for the country of Nigeria, you know what I'm saying? But moving on to the last draft steal that I got, it's Jaden McDaniels, who ended up going to the Minnesota Timberwolves. But let me know your opinions down below in the comment section. I would love to know what you guys think. Who do you think is going to be a bust in this draft class? Who do you think was a sleeper pick? Who do you think is going to be the best player? Let me know your opinions down below. Also, do not forget to drop a like. Check out the links in the description box for my social media accounts. Y'all stay safe and have a great day. Do not forget to wear a mask. I'm out. Peace.